when I wake up in the morning, I know I get to choose whether I want to be happy or sad. I get to choose to know whether or not, how do I want to respond to my day. And as I started to wake up, I began to notice that it was important that I check my self-talk. Good morning. And what if you're not aware of your self-talk? What if you're not aware of your simple little things that create you who you are? So you have this beautiful brain, and your brain health is super important because sometimes you won't realize it, but your brain, if you've done drugs, it could make holes, and if you could hit your head, you could have some concussion and brain damage. You could have stroke. You could have all kinds of things happen to this because it just floats around. But it can repair itself too. That's the beauty of this, is that neuroplasticity and neurogenesis has been proven that you can help to help with healing your brain. But what if you've done nothing to your brain? You're like, but my brain's good. I've done nothing to it. Well, the way you eat will affect the way your brain health is. The way you think will affect your brain health. So those two are super important, besides the obvious is the ones that I just explained. So when you think of self-talk, are you embracing? Is it life? Is it love? Is it joy? Or are you avoiding? Think about it just for a moment. When you have just your average thinking, are you embracing or avoiding? Because emotions is in a duality sense. You think negative, positive. But they also tell you whether you're embracing or avoiding. And that is super important to become aware of, because without it, you're never going to remember how to wake up. That's what I said. Remember to wake up. We already have this pathway home of knowing how to wake up. But do we? Whoops. Do we? That's what becomes the question, is do we know how to wake up? Majority of you will think. What will happen when you think? Are you even aware that you think? I watch people walk around thinking, and I see energies, and people say, lots and lots of times they'll say, oh, what's my aura? And I'll be looking, and I have to ask Spirit to show me the overall, the makeup of eventually, what is it doing? What is it doing? I have to look and see, what is your average? What are you doing? And that will usually give me your color of your aura. But what I usually see when you think, and it keeps jumping, will be like this. It's just all over the place. Everywhere you look, it just switches and changes. So when I'm looking at frequencies and colors. But I was able to break it down so that I could teach other people how to see it. You want to see it one more time? Okay. Just in case those that didn't get to see it in the other, other places. And so when you think, the colors will change. And they can go fast because you have 41 thoughts per minute. And that's when you're not stressed. And if you're stressed, you may not even know it, because you're normal. It could be a negative state. Oh, full of flu, so only dropped in to say hello and thank you for the healing you helped me with and taught me a few nights ago. This is actually feeling more of a purge from, yes, it is. But we can also help you with that as well. So each stage of where you're at, you are learning how to change the way you move your energies. And so the chemical peptides, which are emotions, that's what I address them as emotional chemical peptides, will make a dump. And it can look like the flu. And when it's like, the question is, do you want it to be gone? Is there some other way? Do you have to be stuck with it? So I've looked with Gail. If you don't mind me, have permission to look. Hello, April. I can help you understand what's a little bit more about what, we're all conditioned that this time of year, that the temperature when it changes, that type of thinking and negativity about snow or wherever you're at, there is this conditioning process that you're supposed to get sick. And you can, again, I'll just wait until she says yes. She may be gone already. But when you have this thing that's negative that affects yourself, there's a part of you that has to make the choice to notice if it's invading or if it is just there. What is your response? And the self-talk that you have that goes with it. Simply put, pay attention to your self-talk. Are you avoiding or are you embracing? So a lot of times you'll hear people do this talk in their head, gosh, I got to get up and I got to do this. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Oh, so it's this good pep talk, self-talk. Or, and you know what those are, right? So and it's a good thing and you're embracing it and you're moving forward. Now, what about if you are allowing yourself to have the self-talk of your feelings are hurt? What kind of self-talk? What kind of self-talk? And is there? Just pay attention. What kind? When your feelings are hurt, what kind of self-talk? Is it positive or negative? Is it avoidance or embracing? What is it? And when you are learning how to use the body to help you decide what emotions are going to run your show today, it's up to you what you're going to do. Now, I've learned that my brain health is going to improve because I'm moving the energy. I'm doing everything that I possibly can. And then some things I'm just avoiding because it's like, yeah, no, extreme exercise or whatever, eating healthy. There's certain things, certain programs that interfere. But again, nobody really thinks about the mental health or the emotional health. And your emotional health and your mental health have everything to do with this physical body and how you create life. We were taught for so long that it didn't matter. It had nothing to do with your body. It had nothing to do with life. And can you see how that does not apply now? Those emotional chemical peptides inside the body are emotions, right? They have everything to affect the body. So you can't argue anymore about the brain and body connection. Certain things are not meant to be physically seen so that it doesn't get picked apart or stolen or changed or warped with people's opinions. So when you're talking about self-talk, so my feelings get hurt, I want to pull away. That's supposed to be some sort of survival instinct. But what do you do with that? What if it's not true? What do you mean it's not true? All right, so let's put it this way. I don't really know how to respond emotionally unless I've had an experience in the past. The first 12 years of your life, you're downloading what it's like to be a human with emotions. Okay? So what does that mean? It means that you've had some experiences with emotions at some point to know how to react or respond, to know that you actually feel hurt. Now, if you're experiencing this for the first time, how will you react? Will you be, usually most people, when they really feel the frequency, will be in complete shock. What? And a rejection. What? Because you couldn't fathom anything other than what you had. And I had that with people. I adored them. I loved them. And they didn't feel the same in return. They didn't have the same heart as I did. So I got hurt. And I had to learn and respect. This is who they are. I don't have to change them because it's not my job. What if there's nothing wrong with them that doesn't need to be changed? But what if it's my perspective of how I feel with them? That is my responsibility. And if I don't want to be in that space with them, I have to be brave enough to just walk away. Me and my ex, two great people that just don't fit. And that's okay. But what kind of self-talk do people normally have? They have to see them as the enemy because they're hurt. They want to avoid. They want to, usually most people don't realize it, but when they talk and they say they need to talk about it, really it becomes a social skill where you are hurting somebody because that's what you were taught. You got to gossip, you got to make them look like the enemy, you got to gather your minions, you've got to gang up, you've got to have revenge. How many TV shows are about revenge? My goodness. But is that really true that you have to do that? Is it true? So a lot of people don't think about it. They just get up, live their day, and they feel like their life has been wasted by the end of the day. Were they conscious enough to decide to create the day they wanted? And people think, oh no, you have to think about it in advance and you have to let it unfold and then you have to do this. And that's not true. You wake up and you make that decision. Oh God, I feel like shit. Use a tool. Get yourself out of that state. We were never taught that we could, but you certainly can. So when we wake up and we think about that person that hurt our feelings, did they do it intentionally? Or was it a filter from when we were little? We've seen that signature of this person. We were hurt then, so we go down to our first 3 chakras and go, oh my God, I haven't experienced it. And it just becomes an overlay, and that's what you see. Just like if I said to you, if you don't believe I'm correct on this, when I was little, now you tell me if you've ever experienced any of this. When I was little, I remember it's my birthday. I was super, super excited. I wasn't expecting anything except for I was expecting the presents. But the greatest part of it was that because I didn't know what I was expecting, the more joy came out of it. And all of a sudden, somebody gave me, when I was little, a little red bike. I was like, wait, this is for me? This is for me? Oh, it was such a wonderful experience. Anybody have that? Where you just were surprised of what kind of gift you got? Usually we're pretty good at this one. So I was 4 years old and I fell out of a car. I was going around in circles and I cut my leg wide open. Anybody else have a cut? I had to have stitches. They had to get all the sand and the gravel out. And, it hurt. It hurt. So how many of you went in and go, oh my God, when I was little, I had this? And that's you listening, responding, and going down to your chakras and going down to your subconscious mind, going down and pulling up your memories. Okay, Amy's playing. It has been a memory that shows up in your face. Okay, exactly. I had a red bike and I had a huge gash in my knee. So instantly, your body, the programs, the history, the archives of the past will pop up so you can resonate to figure out if you can bond with what the person's talking about. Now, you haven't really been in this space before, or you've been around certain people. All of a sudden, without realizing that they hurt your feelings, you actually ran down to your archives and your chakras in your subconscious mind and pulled up, that happened to me before. And then we have these programs, these filing cabinet that you already have an idea and an opinion formed around this person before you even get to know them. Maybe it's based on looks. Maybe it's based on the voice. Maybe it's based on the experience you've had. So let's go a little bit further. If you were shown an object that you didn't understand what it is, but you were taught that you're supposed to fear everything because it's evil, a belief system that says it's evil. So then I say, oh, would you like a oracle card? And you're going to go and look and say, hold on, oracle. Now, if I said, you're like, oh, okay, maybe. But what if I said, Would you like a tarot card? Ding, ding, ding. You're going to run down your archives, your file system. My mama told me those are evil. My mama told me those are wrong. My mama told me. Okay? Now, what if you forgot that? But the feeling and the sensation of fear around that belief, I can't learn about tarot. I can't do that because that's evil. Who gave you that definition? Was it you? Or did you borrow it? Where did you get it? So here's the thing. Where's your belief system? Without realizing it, your body, your programs will pop up and you'll bring them to your rescue of this moment. But do you have to believe everything you think and everything you fear? This is what's called wrong intuition because it's brought up through the ego. It's brought up through the ego mindset. It's brought up through the survival mindset. And it's brought up through fear. So when I started to wake up, I had to break up with all of somebody else's belief systems before me. You know, I thought, oh, they know, they're smarter than me. They know the world. So I'll just do everything they say. So there's always this right and wrong, right and wrong. And when I started to break up with right and wrong, I had people come out of the woodwork. No, you got to do it the right way. And I'm like, I started to ask Spirit, show me what you're talking about here. Because their right is their wrong and their right is their wrong. And if I do it right in front of that person, then they're going to tell me I'm wrong. And then if I do it their way to that person, I'm going to be. Spirit says, well, how do they define it? It's based on ideas and opinions. It's based on their limitations, their fears. It's based on traditions that are passed down. This is why unity. And if you understand what yoga means, it means unity. It's union. And we're moving into this fifth dimension of unity. You understand? So why is it that we keep ourselves separated? Because in the awakening process, you have to begin to know that you're a spiritual essence of who you are. And so when you think about this, but I'm going to start teaching you a how-to, step by step, not a class. But this class isn't just information. This is you starting to apply. You will get healing tools. So you're going to get a healing course, how to heal yourself, but you're going to get these definitions. And I'm going to tell you, when you start transforming out of those old mindsets and you start getting into your authentic self, which is awaken to your authenticity, and you start listening with your essence and your heart and the soul instead of your programs, you start to pull yourself out of the matrix. You're going to start breaking the ego code. Before anything, a piece of paper can exist, it has to come in as an idea. And then you got to think about it. How is it going to work? The who, what, where, why, when, and how. Does it benefit? If as long as it benefits you, you'll create it. But if it doesn't benefit mankind, you may not give a rat's ass. But here's the thing. It satisfies you in that moment. But most of us are borrowing and keeping in those old programs that you can't even think about how to be creative. Most of us were taught to shut down the right part of the brain. It's too emotional. No, let's get rid of the arts program. Let's do that. This is actually where the right part of the hemisphere is where enlightenment can occur. This is where you become the resolver. This is where you become with your essence to learn how to integrate with the left, creating a union so that you can rise up out of those old paradigms. When you decide you're done with it, just like Rika, she just said, I'm currently battling the loss of my mother and sobriety 17 months and counting. She could go and say that I have to suffer. I have to suffer. But do you? Suffering is actually an option. When I began to discover that suffering was an option, why did I need to keep thinking these thoughts? Who's listening when you're doing self-talk? I mean, the self-talk is like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. You're going to talk yourself into or out of. You're going to be doing avoidance or embracing. But the self-talk, one of the things is that you're like, oh, you talk to yourself? Well, you better watch out. You're going to go to the nut house. You're crazy. Well, you be careful. You don't know where that energy is coming from. So then it could be evil. All these fears, all of these restrictions. So I was always taught to avoid actually getting closer to spirit, because only the out there, they know how to do it. You can't do it. I'm the only one that can do it. And that belief system, I was married to it. Well, if I can't do it, you can't do it. If it doesn't inconvenience me, I don't understand why it's inconveniencing you. And you know what? There's only one opinion, and it's mine, and it's always right. And I'm like, whoa, that is so not true. And I didn't have to believe it anymore. I didn't. Thank you for the tiny dinies. You didn't have to believe it anymore. But we did, because we didn't know that we had a choice. You don't have to. When I started breaking traditions, oh my God, I was hell in a handbasket. I'd always get yelled at. I always to be judged. I was always being screamed at. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. Now, how do you walk away from it gracefully? Well, you can just choose, and then you're just going to get years and years of backlash, but that's okay. The judgment, oh my God. I have a beautiful family member that's just not in their cards to want to hang out. And yet they're judged harshly because what? You don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have a relationship, you don't hang out. What's wrong with you? Go get a life. There's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong. And the person that's judging them harshly is the one that said, oh, I don't have to have babies. Everybody told me I had to have babies, but yet she's passing on the same judgment. Just sounds a little different, but it's the same judgment. And I'm going to tell you that when you start to heal yourself and you use your body as this healing tool, you don't have to go through flus and colds. You can get over them faster. My kids never really had, Mom, sick. Oh, here she comes. Run. Nope, not feeling better. Because what's the point? Now, when they were sick, they're like, Mom, take care of me. And then they'd get done with it faster. So their mentality that they get to have a week off from school, yeah, they just, whatever. They didn't have that they didn't have to go there because they can choose something different. Now, self-talk. This is the biggest self-talk that most people have to get past. And that's fear, the survival, the ego. Oh God, I don't want to get up today. I feel like this. And what happens when you have this feel like this is the opportunity. You can say, wait a minute, I'm in charge. My essence of me are in charge of this machine, this body, this temple, and my temple is telling me that I need to actually take care of it, like cleaning your house. So the simple tool of OMG to help bring the blood back up, to get you out of stress, to change those thoughts, can change you around dramatically if you know how to use it. And I love this, Gail's knowledge. Not what other people told her, but it sounds like it's a certain amount of knowing. She says, I lost my dad from Alzheimer's in October. I have not suffered either because I know where he is. We were taught for so long that, well, if he didn't get baptized, he's going to go to hell. But what about before baptism came in place? Are they all in hell? And what if you learned, like I did, that heaven and hell are states of mind, and this is heaven, and we're totally effing it up by being in hell? It's a choice. And the beautiful part is when they vibrate to the higher existence. We can't see them because we are born with this limitation, but yet we can use our part of ourselves to know and have a connection, the knowing. He comes for visits in the dreams. I have been having family visits me in dreams since childhood. See? When somebody says you can't do it, get out of the way. There's people that are doing it. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So mom and dad never got back to it. They don't need to. Well, here's the thing about the baptism. The way that certain things were orchestrated, but when you begin to understand, like I said, I was reading the Bible. One of the things that came up was you have to go inside. You have to go through me to get, so you have to go through God or Jesus to get to God. But it's the Christ consciousness. It is love. It is minus fear. It's minus the ego. Yeah, you're going to have an ego, but the thing is when you turn into that love state, and when you get into that love state, you remove judgment. You live in discernment. You live in this joy. You know that you're here as a human to experience what chocolate is, or sex, or whatever you want. But it's don't have to be lost in it. It doesn't have to be owned by it. And when I started to realize that I could sit there, I disowned the church, but I embraced spirit. No matter where I go, spirit is in me, with me, and works through me. I am the universe. I am the world. I am this. Everything I see out here, I align to these certain things. And when I align to these certain things, I get a choice of whether I want to be in hell or be in heaven. And when I realized that they were states of mind, I didn't have to please anybody. And this is where the self-talk is, that most people get caught up in the pain is because somebody said something and it hurt them. And then you're mulling it in your head because you're doing an avoidance or you're ready for revenge. But the thing is you lost control of who you really are. And you went into the experience to really understand the experience, but you got lost and didn't get yourself out. So when this happens, we forgot how to do it. And this is why I'm here. I'm going to help you get out of this. I want you to help you to learn how to heal yourself so that you can evolve. I want you to hashtag resolve to evolve. I want you to heal instead of deal. I want you to realize this. I mean, people run around going, oh my God, I got to think of the worst case scenario so that when something does happen, I won't be as hurt. That is so unhealthy for the body because you're creating stress hormones where you don't need them, and the body is taking a shit where it don't need to. The body needs you. I watch people sit around all day long and they get spiraled because the emotion spirals and the thoughts and the programs spiral them, and they get lost in the spiral. And it's like, if I can get you just to recognize the spiral, or to recognize that you're in that space and you want out, all you have to do is this is your first one. Your first line of defense is get the blood back up. But you got to learn to measure. And when you stick with it, not 2 minutes, but like 20 minutes, if you have to, you are that worth it. And when you start to measure the difference, and when people are like, where to go? Do you want it back? No. Well, then good. Keep going, because you are so worth knowing who you truly are. Okay? So this self-talk, you create more stress. Stress is what makes you sick. Stress is what's caused the body, the stress. If you don't know what peace is, just start asking spirit a question. Show me, thank you for showing me peace. Thank you for showing me, how do I know peace? Aim for your goal of love, if that's what it is. Mine was sanity. Mine was joy. And I wake up every morning, and if my body goes, oh my God, I'll say, okay, hold on, what do you need? I take care of it like I would take care of my child, with great love. What do you need? What do you need? Huh? You need some water? You need to get up? You need, and it's like, it just wants to be held. Then I will hold. And I will hug myself by healing myself. And then all of a sudden the body goes, yay! It's like, thank you. It needs you. And the body is this representation of Mother Earth. You need to be able to show love. I have not stopped using the tools you gave me since 3 nights ago. And notice that you're witnessing the difference. You must have stepped out a little bit because I had said something to you because you said you had the flu, and I was going to help you with that. And You don't even have, like I said, you don't even have to suffer that, because they are chemical peptides and they can linger and they can influence your life like you don't need it to influence. Keep applying the tools. There's, in let me tell you, Gail, you go to a certain place, let me show you, and there's tons of tools there. I use them all. I don't just put up shit. I use them. I know what they do, and I know how they helped me. And I, I'm told that I'm supposed to just show people. Now you have to, when you go here, you have to look for that little thing that says healing tool. So sometimes it's 3 lines and blah, blah, blah. And under that is like huge